we'll go into the Zoom room where we have pretty much 70% of the Department of Agriculture standing by. Good morning, Chelsea. Good morning, Frank, Christine, Jathan. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I mean, Chelsea, she's a maximizer. I say, hey, what do you got? You got an update? She's like, oh man, I got a lot of stuff. Can I bring some friends? So there you go. You got the staff, and we'll just go down the line with who you got and what they want to talk about. But Chelsea, we did have a question about the fisheries relief grant. I know that we've been tracking this with you from the registration process to what we anticipated would be the payouts. But can you just give us a status on that?
Sure. Actually, that's why I brought Frank in.
Oh, nice.
Frank's been leading it for us, and I wanted him to be able to provide that update.
Good morning, Frank.
Morning, everyone.
Hi, Frank.
Hi. So first off, the deadline to submit applications has been extended to March 31st, so you have until the end of the month. We urge all registered fishermen to submit applications to DAR either by hard copy or digital. So if you want to turn in digitally, you can come pick up an application here, fill it out here and turn it in, or you can take it home and fill it out and submit it back in our office. And you can even just take a picture of it and send it to us digitally, or you can download the 3 forms on our website at doag.guam.gov under the resources tab. And then you'll find the 3 forms, which is the application form, the affidavit, and the W-9. And once you fill it out, you can email it to our fisheries account, which is fisheries@doag.guam.gov. So then again, you can submit either the digital forms through there, or you can take a picture of the application that you completed and submit it there as well. And if you need any assistance filling it out or have any questions, you can call my direct line at 735-0288, 735-0288. My line is, it diverts calls to my cell phone, so if you have any questions, it'll just go straight to me, even if I'm not in the office.
So
if you're a registered fisherman and do not submit an application, please call my line or the office to withdraw your application. There'll be no questions asked if you request to withdraw. This will really help speed up the process for us to turn in these applications as well. We also have submitted the first batch of applications for the November 30th deadline, and the error-free applications are being processed thus far. And lastly, we're conducting outreach at popular fishing sites. One of our program coordinators, Veronica Salas, she'll be assisting anyone that needs help filling out applications or just to ask general or just answer general questions. Flyers will be circulated with the time and date information, or you can call the office or call my line for any further details.
Frank, so has anybody been paid out yet?
No one's been paid out yet.
So what has the delay been? Because I feel like we had, I don't know if it was the director or somebody on kind of recently, and it sounded like they were getting ready to cut checks.
Yeah, well, what I think it is that they're not only dealing with Guam, but they're also dealing with other states and territories as well. So maybe they're backed up with processing of applications, but that's all on the federal commission's part. So we're just doing the legwork and processing the applications for them so that they can do their part and disperse the checks.
Has everybody else, though, been granted extensions like Guam?
If they request it, we need to, when we request an extension, we have to amend our spend plan, send it to the commission, who sends it to NOAA, who reviews and then approves, and then they notify us that our request to extend has been granted. I know that at least in the other territories, Saipan or CNMI and American Samoa are still kind of in the same process that we are, and I think it's the same stateside too, though.
Have other people been paid out in other territories?
I don't know that. We can find out. I think it would probably say it on the NOAA website.
Okay. And then you mentioned, Frank, that you're giving an opportunity for people to withdraw their applications. Does that mean, I'm guessing that maybe you think some people have filled out applications trying to get a grant that maybe they weren't entitled to?
Yeah, so there's the parts. The first part was the registration, and then the second part was the application. So perhaps there are people who registered and maybe they don't feel like they need the assistance anymore. So maybe they just didn't want to turn in an application, you know, at all. So, you know, if for any reason that you don't want to turn in an application, but you are registered, please just call us and let us know, and it'll really help us speed up processing these applications. Because right now we have 800 registered fishermen, and we only have about 200 people turning in applications, and it's kind of hard for us to follow our spend plan when we have only that many applications, but we have this many registered fishermen.
Has there been any communication between your agency and NOAA or the federal government on this delay in payment for the people that have met all the requirements, have turned in all the paperwork? Or are
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, we shot them an email about it. We're kind of waiting for their follow-up response. We did get a call this week from one of the commercial fishers who's kind of expecting a big chunk of money. So we understand why they're eager for that follow-up or for that payment. And so on their behalf, we emailed the commission to ask, because in our mind, I mean, the checks go directly to the fisher. So we don't always know if they've been paid out yet, or if, well, I guess because we also haven't had that experience yet. So I'm hoping they also the commission sends us a list or an update of who they've paid out so that we can follow up with that.
So it's not too late to register. We had a comment from Gary Ogan here on our Facebook Live. The deadline's been extended to March, what was it again, Frank?
31st.
March 31st, 2 p.m. The application is available on
doag.guam.gov.
Are there any, now that we're in PCOR 3, can people come by your offices, Chelsea, and pick up maybe a hard copy application? Because I know a lot of fishermen and maybe not the most internet savvy.
Yes, absolutely.
Right on. Okay, so you can do that.
And like Frank mentioned, though, we also have Veronica, who's been going out to fishing sites. Like, she's been at Boat Basin, she's been at Agate Marina, waiting for people to come in so that she can help them fill out forms if they need that too.
Wow. So a little bit of outreach there.
Yeah, she's been doing, like, I think at least three times a week, all day long.
Wow. Hi, Christine. Christine, of course, the Forestry Division Chief, right? So what do you got for us this morning, Christine?
My opening
Yeah.
is, well, Chelsea asked us to come up and just talk about the projects. So we are already in the phases of trying to secure the accounts for vendors. So we have our remote automated weather station that the fire program got funding for this year. So that, again, we'll put a weather station down south, which will communicate with our NOAA partners over at the weather office. So NWS, Department of Ag, Forestry, we're going to work together on getting that equipment set up with the technicians. And from there, we'll be able to get real-time data in the field for the south. So that's a big one. We're really excited because it'll provide info for an area that hasn't been delivering any kind of real-time weather data for years. And then we also have the investigation training that will resume. So from that, we're going to have the development of the SOP that brings all of the partners to the table when it comes to wildfire investigation. We have a great fire committee right now with all of the fire partners on island, but what we needed was that driving document, that the agreement that brings us out when there's a fire. Because right now the way it works is fire comes up, forestry shows up, I make phone calls, I'm like, hey chief, you know, whether it's fire department, Navy, and then law enforcement, both our DOAG conservation officers and or the police department. We all came to the table for fire training because it required the investigation side, which is also communicating with witnesses, taking statements, and this really showed a strong collaboration that's possible and effective when put to play. So we've already started investigating a couple fires for this season. And so we can't talk much about that. They're still active. But just know that for wildfires, we had the law, we got the curriculum, we've got the fire danger rating signs going up, and we have investigations taking place. So if you see something, know something, say something. And keep repeating that. The police department came up with a great slogan. We're gonna keep using it because it applies. Wildfires are a crime.
You can't really use Munga Masongi anymore because marijuana is legal.
Oh no, we're gonna don't take away our fire campaign slogan. Munga Masongi Guahan, don't burn Guam.
Right.
It's the education's out there. And it's not about the arson law and the addition of negligent burning and criminal mischief in the wildfire context. That wasn't about writing a citation for all of the neighbors in the village. It's just about raising awareness on your street.
Right.
Because that backyard fire, and we've seen it, we've heard it, burning in the backyard, burning close to the house, and wind. That's the one thing we've always repeated. You cannot control the weather. And everything that you put in place, if you're not getting the proper permit for the burn in the backyard, you're running the risk of a negligent burning citation. If that fire escapes you and burns across the landscape, now you're really going to run, that charge goes up. So it's just raising awareness and making sure that our community stays informed.
Christine,
and then of course we have all of our other forestry projects.
Right, but just going back to the wildfire thing, there's a fire I saw on Cross Island, right? That's a real big trouble spot, and I think I saw was it Monica commented on our feed yesterday that there's been a few grass fires, right?
Yes. So
South is burning.
Yeah, and you'll notice, like in the back, there are historical sites. We say historical meaning in the context of use over time.
Right.
So the sites that have been burning have been known to be agriculture properties, to include regularly hunted properties.
Right.
So there could be a combination of something happening there, and we need to make sure that awareness is being made across the island that there are proper permits for things. Proper meaning there's a burn permit for backyard, or if you're going to do burning in your backyard, there's a permit for that you secure with the Guam Fire Department. If it's an agriculture burn, then you have to come to the Department of Agriculture, and that burn is specifically for agricultural purposes. And we haven't issued a single agriculture burn permit in the 6 years I've been here.
Well, let me ask you this. So everybody always says, oh, who's burning? It's the hunters. They burn it so the, Venado come out and they eat the new growth. That being said, has there been any, because that kind of falls under you guys too, has there been any outreach with the hunters or anything?
Oh, yeah. Over the years, we've had, that's been a shared effort, actually,
right.
Shared agency effort across the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, Department of Agriculture, DAR, the divisions every division within agriculture has participated in the outreach. And we all know the big one, right? It's the pig hunting derby. That really started the conversation on a broader scale, getting people who've never been involved in a hunting discussion part of the discussion. So that's one of our long-time running ones. And then I know DAR has a number of outreach projects that they do for education and outreach. For forestry, what we have done is our forest stewardship program. That's the program that works with private landowners. We can grow native trees or include agroforestry in the selection of trees to help address a resource concern on your property. Now, the reason I mentioned FSP, Forest Stewardship Program, is that we are also going to be reaching out, working with our soil and water conservation districts to have little mini workshops. And these workshops are small. We're talking backyard, and we'll have several of them. This is the way that we will address the other issues with fire and invasive species, ungulate issues. It's going to be a broad spectrum type of outreach. But it'll also give me, as putting on the fire manager hat again, the opportunity to talk about use of fire on the land and proper permitting. So we do have plans in place, and we've been waiting for everything to open up so we can move beyond just a digital delivery and be able to get back into the yards and the field.
By any chance, do you have any information on that? It looked like a huge fire, maybe a grass fire down in Umatic over the weekend.
Oh, so we weren't called out for that one. It did pop up on, we'll definitely see it on the fire mapping. And so when I get that information, when we get the full scale of how much burned, I can report that out.
Okay.
But the crew wasn't called for that fire, but they were fighting fire in Arahan, in Orda. So they were busy. There were a number of fires, and they even went out to the solar farm out in the Malolo area.
So another part with having the crew there fighting the fire is that they've also, like Christine mentioned, been trained in the arson investigation component, and they've completed that first certification process. So now we're going to be pushing to have them recognized as first responders. I mean, they do all of the same work. It's just it's in rural rather than urban setting, but they're out there just as vigorously and putting their lives in danger every single time they're out there fighting fires. And now they also have that arson investigation component, which also is like a law enforcement capacity.
Isn't that crazy that they've been fighting fire all these years and
Yeah.
they weren't classified as first responders?
Wow.
In the middle of it, nobody ever sees them because we're in the middle. Nobody notices the little green truck. We notice all the other vehicles, which, it's awesome, but it'd be great to really give the recognition to our crew as well.
Because
They're
you guys,
super humble. They're
yeah.
like ninja. They'll walk in, they'll go in, put a fire out, and leave.
put a fire out with their broom, with that broom thing that
The broom,
Yeah.
Clapper.
the brush beater,
map,
flapper,
right,
fire,
yeah.
No, I wanted to see if Chelsea wanted to give a comment on Senator Clint Rigel's bill on agricultural
Sacking.
theft.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One for ag.
Yeah, and the fact that,
well,
there's... Go ahead.
It's beyond super needed. So we're grateful that it's introduced. We've been talking about this for a while. We drafted the legislation with his office. I mean, in total collaboration, we had farmers come in who were talking with John Borja about it. John's gone out to farms, and just the stories are horrific. I mean, the one that always stands out for me is the farmer who actually carved his initials in the hands of the bananas. And when they were stolen, he called the police and said, look, they're being sold, and here's my mark. And the response was, well, how do you know that that's yours? Well, who else marks their bananas? And sometimes it's the people who they hire on a temporary basis to help, and then they come in at night and creep and steal. But so that's why the senator also introduced it in conjunction with the mandatory requirement that if you're selling produce, you need to be a bona fide farmer, so that other companies, hotels, restaurants, or even at the flea market, people aren't buying produce from unregulated farming practices. And when you have that applied certificate, it also ensures that you've gone through proper pesticide use training. I mean, we've seen some of the damage that is done with unregulated pesticide use, and it brings to mind that time when Senator Ben Pangilinan was still alive, and we found out that property up at Paget has now been contaminated for more than a decade and can't be used for more than a decade because of the illegal use of pesticides on that property.
Right.
So ensuring that commercial entities and private users are buying produce from bona fide farmers protects the community, it protects the farmers from theft and the selling of their stolen crops.
Right.
And now this will criminalize that act so that farmers can actually be compensated, and people can be held accountable for that.
Chelsea,
I mean,
what about
really
the
comes to thousands of dollars.
right?
I'm sorry, Chris, what was that?
I'm sorry, just so what you're saying about having to be a bona fide farmer. Like, I mean, we've all done the thing where, harvest papaya and go sell it to the Korean restaurant or whatever, right? So how would this bill, to your knowledge, affect those like very micro type farmers? They're not like the Woostig level where they've got acre, the other manhita or whatever. We're talking about like little people who, go sell this $20 a mango or this $20 a hot pepper.
Well, along the lines of when we were working on having this introduced, we've been working on updating the language so that a bona fide farmer can be someone who's working on like less than a quarter acre size property, and you're just growing things that you want to share with your community.
Right.
So there'll be different levels of bona fide certification.
Oh, cool. Jathan, Agriculture Development Services, because we're kind of running out of time here. Jason's got itchy feet to go. So, Jathan, go ahead. What did you have for us?
So the Guam Department of Agriculture has been awarded, Chris, $121,000 by the U.S. Department of Agriculture to increase the quality and quantity of locally grown foods. The goal is to support food insecure communities that import a significant amount of food. These funds will provide grants to qualifying applicants over a 3-year period. They will assist eligible farmers with gardening, herding, and livestock operations by competitively distributing subawards to eligible entities. So the 2 types of eligible entities can be individuals, farmers, ranchers, home gardeners, and they may apply for a maximum of $5,000 per year for a maximum of 3 years. And organizations, NGOs may apply for a maximum of $10,000 per year for a maximum of 3 years. As early as this coming Friday, an island-wide request for proposals will be issued, and that'll be posted on DOAG's website. And the requirements: applicants must have a bona fide farm certification and a registered DUNS number that they can obtain on the federal Gov Duns and Bradstreet website at fedgov.dmb.com. With that, an eligible entity may use funds to purchase gardening tools, equipment, soil amendments, seeds, plants, and other items necessary to grow and store food.
Jathan, so a home gardener can get a bona fide farmer certification?
Yes, they can. They can come into Department of Agriculture and our ADS division. They can request for a bona fide farm certification. An inspector will go out and inspect their farm or home garden, and as long as they meet the requirements, which are somewhat easy to meet, they can become a bona fide certified farmer.
What can you go back? What are some of the requirements?
Different requirements depending on the type of farmer you are. For small scale home gardening, the minimum of 50 fruit trees is required, depending on the type of fruit trees. Livestock, depending on the type of poultry or sows you need. So they can come in and look at the requirements and the criteria to become a bona fide farmer.
50 fruit trees?
Yes, sir. That's the minimum requirement for most home gardeners.
Wow. Okay. And so if you have 50 fruit trees, are you like just a home gardener, or are you like a farmer?
It can be both. We honor the intent to garden and grow food. So we're definitely here to work with the farmers and small scale gardeners to make sure that what they're trying to do, we're here to help. So
right.
And we're here to encourage farming and gardening. So
it
doesn't necessarily need to be fruit trees like in the ground. You can have fruit trees in pots too, and fruit trees do include pugwa.
Oh, nice. That was my grandma's favorite fruit.
There you go.
No, but
Grandma was a
Jathan,
farmer.
so the home gardeners, right? Just so I can be clear, you guys will bona fide farmer certify people who are home gardening, meaning that they just grow their own vegetables or whatever. Not necessarily that they sell it out there or whatever. Okay, that's cool. And this is up to $5,000 a year for up to 3 years for home gardeners, and then what'd you say, the bigger farmers, it's $10,000 a year for up to how many?
$10,000 a year for organizations and NGOs, for a maximum of 3 years. For individuals, they can be large scale farmers, ranchers, producers. They may apply for a maximum of $5,000 per year for 3 years.
But it doesn't mean your project needs to be for 3 years. It could be a 1-year project that you're looking at, or even a 2-year project. And you have to be detailed with what you want to accomplish each of those years. You know, you have a timeline, you have a budget of what you want to spend. Tell us how you're going to spend that money. You can't just say, I'm going to spend, or I want $5,000. I'm going to buy soil. Well, what are you going to do with that soil? How are you going to be applying it? And what purpose is it going to serve? Like, what's your outcome?
And then what's the timeline on the awarding of the grants?
I think we're giving 90 days to the reviewers to review, but then that,
Yes, sir.
you know, we're also banking on that they'll have not over inundated with 5,000 applications to review in 90 days.
Right.
But that's our reasonable estimate right now is 90 days to review and then award the selected projects.
I know Bree's done here, but last question are you done?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm done.
For P-Corps 3, I know that you guys weren't allowing in traffic, and I know a lot of people would like to go up to the Mangilao offices up there, Department of Ag, and get like whatever kind of sprouts you guys got, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So now that it's P-Corps 3, are you entertaining people to come and pick up stuff? And if so, what do you got?
We've had people coming in during peak hour too.
Okay.
They actually have been seeing a lot of the stuff that's been growing in our nursery. Our nursery is, like we said it would, has been totally expanding and branching out in the different things that are available. I think right now Chris has blueberries that are just breaking soil. He's got strawberry plants, date trees, bay leaves, dragon fruit, papayas. I want to say he has some
did you
big
say
plants.
did you say
I am pepper.
strawberries? I thought you said strawberries.
Yeah,
And blueberry.
I did say strawberries and blueberries.
So where do you grow the strawberries?
And tangerine, lemonchina.
Wow.
It's popping up here.
I feel like a
Our
weekly
nursery guy
segment.
is doing an outstanding job. He really is. And he's doing exactly what we were hoping he would. He's put his love of plants into the nursery.
But no chronic,
and
right?
just distracted the area.
No.
I'm sorry. What did,
You
no
don't got any
chronic.
chronic? Okay.
I'll
You know,
lick his
technically,
ears,
though-
Chelsea. I'll lick his ears.
Technically, the nursery is not federally funded, so
So you could have the chronic, right? I'll bring
Yeah,
you some. I'll
good.
bring you some.
You'd be surprised. He talks about everything with genetics, with what is it, grafting and tissue culturing. He's been talking with USDA about bringing in different tissue culture samples of varieties of breadfruit. He's got different varieties of moringa. I didn't even know there was more than one variety of moringa. It's just, people really need to, they'll be fascinated when they come up and take a look.
Wow.
Sounds like we're going to be heading over there for a link on location,
Yeah,
Chris.
I like
All
this.
right.
We should get you guys on, Chelsea. Maybe let's set something up for like every other week. You guys come on and we'll do this little.
Or even go there.
Yeah.
It'd be great to go there.
It's fun to go there.
Some stuff that he's got.
It's fun to go there
We
when
do
you.
a nursery tour. We
When-
do digital nursery tours. We already did it.
Yeah.
So cute.
Christine want to bring us out to the ground zero of the fire. Remember when we did that?
We're gonna
I
have
rem-
all the time. More roadside observations.
To bring your own broom. You bring your own. What do you call it again?
Flapper.
Flapper.
The flapper.
Slapper or flapper?
Well, lots of great things over there, Chelsea. Thank you so much for bringing everybody on. We're gonna have to
We're
pay.
happy to.
We're gonna have to pay you guys a visit
Right on.
and see everything.
Oh,
firsthand.
please do. You'll love it. It's great
will.
being out here.
We'll do it right around when the strawberries are ready.
Okay.
Okay. Good to see you guys.
All right,
Thank
take
you,
care.
Frank. Thank you, Christine. Shoot, Jathan. Thank you, Chelsea.
Bye.